So I hope we have your attention. So again, thank you for being here. I'm so thrilled to have everyone here to talk about the importance of site resiliency. As a quick intro, my name is Tulika Mehrotra. I've been with Chief for about a year now. I'm the Chief Digital Officer at Peterson Technology Partners. We're a Chicago-based organization with global operations, and we've been working with Fortune clients on their IT recruiting and staffing for 25 years. Today, we're going to be talking about SRE and covering topics of auto healing with AI and systems reliability. This is a critical new area in the tech landscape that really needs attention right now. And so it's my pleasure to introduce you to our guest speaker, CEO and President of Peterson Technology Partners, Nick Shah.
Thank you, Tulika. Hello, everyone. In my 25 years of running Peterson Technology Partners and working with several Fortune 100 companies, I have seen companies spend millions of dollars and man hours in creating great websites and products, but they spend little to no time in building teams to plan out site resiliency. Most clients even fail to understand that customers care only about the website or site uptime and performance. Remember in 2021, when the Facebook went down for 6 hours? In those 6 hours, 3.5 billion people were impacted and Facebook lost over $100 million in revenue. 6 hours, $100 million lost.
And I would just add that in those 6 hours of fear and confusion, as every developer and techie on the Facebook payroll was trying to figure out what was wrong, the questions that were coming up were, did the latest update have an undetected bug? Worse, was there a cybersecurity hack? Had Facebook been hacked? What ultimately happened, Nick?
It turned out that it was a simple command error that occurred during a routine maintenance check. Somebody on that maintenance team entered a wrong command, which should have been checked by a failsafe, but the failsafe itself had an undetected bug in it. So the command went through, and 3 of the world's biggest social media platform went down.
And that was one small human error, and 3.5 billion users were impacted, $100 million lost. And this could actually happen to anybody, as we all know. Errors like this cannot be predicted, nor can they be resolved through good coding alone. So Nick, can you please talk to us about what organizations need to think about to prevent this kind of a thing from happening?
Yeah, basically it comes down that your system needs protection, and that brings us to site reliability. Think of your site's immune system as your own immune system. That's what we are talking about. A reliable system that is designed to fight off threats and make sure that you can deliver your services to your customer. We call this site reliability engineering. Think of your organization as your human body. Okay, to stay healthy, you need all your internal organs to function optimally in a harmony with each other, each doing their part. But as we have seen lately, from a little bit of pollen to COVID-19, viruses can bring down a healthy body, which is why your body also has built-in immune system to protect us against these threats and take actions against invaders. This is exactly what site reliability engineers do for your organization. Their job is to make sure everything runs smoothly, deal with any problems, and keep your organization healthy. They are the Jedis using power of coding and operations to keep everything safe and serviceable.
Right. But SRE isn't just about fixing the problems, right?
No, that's just one part of it, but it's more of taking preventive actions to avoid future failures. And when they do occur, to recover from them quickly.
Got it.
So, if we talk about the history of SRE, SRE first emerged from Google as a subset of their DevOps team. Google realized that they needed a way to manage large-scale, rapid changing systems so they could incorporate all the changes that their rapid scaling up required. There was still a lack of communication between the engineering and the operations team. So when an error occurred on the operations side, It then had to be diagnosed and relayed to the engineers, which slowed down the recovery. With SRE, these two halves were brought together under a specialized team from dedicated to operational repair and recovery.
Right. And as we know, the entire world is going digital and fast. Recent figures have put the digital transformation market at over $750 billion, and it's expected to reach over $7 trillion in the next 10 years, which is no surprise to any of us.
That's true. And basically, Tulika, pandemic accelerated the whole process by tenfolds. Digital transformation because of COVID jumped ahead by 3 to 4 years. And that's why a good SRE process is more important than ever before. Right? I mean, think about the digital presence every business has, right? And the impact that digital presence has on your brand and the bottom line. Every kind of service delivery has a digital dimensions, and SRE is essential for organization to maintain reliable, scalable, and high-performing systems.
Right. The reliable systems that Nick is referring to also means that your revenue streams are uninterrupted, that your brand stays protected, and that you maximize on reach and uptime. If you look at the impact of the outages, just in the examples that we have on the screen here, Sony lost $300 million in just their outages. Amazon went down in 1 minute. They lost $66,000, just 1 minute.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the revenue is one thing, but also what it's costing the industry. Like, on an average, an IT downtime is costing industry $26.5 billion in lost revenue every year. Average cost of downtime at a Fortune 100 company is $500,000 per year. $500,000 per year. This means that any company can be set back by $6 million in a single day. Now, maybe if you are Facebook or Amazon, you can eat a loss like that and walk away, but most of us can't.
Right.
And Tulika, think about, that is just from the revenue perspective, but what about the impact on your brand value and customer loyalty, right? Every time a system or a site is down, you are actively losing goodwill and your brand suffers. You are also losing customers and brand loyalty is eroding because of the negative customer experience. On top of this, there is also a domino effect. As the backend support struggles to catch up and bring your website up and running, the failures that are happening is adding to your downtime. And during Facebook outage, it wasn't just their social media that went down. Instagram, WhatsApp were down as well. And you could see the hit brand took as a result of that.
Right, right. And Tanya, thank you for your note. It is work hours versus man hours, so thank you for that. But I do want to draw you guys' attention to this slide here. So what was happening in real time on Twitter when the Facebook outage happened? So these are companies that can handle revenue losses in the hundreds of millions. They can eat that, no big deal. But the impact on their brand in real time, look at what happened that day. They took a real hit, and it directly benefited their biggest rival at the time, which was Twitter. So if that's something that corporations and organizations are okay with, great, but most of us are not.
Yeah, which brings us to two very important terms that people need to keep in mind as they are building site resiliency is mean time to detect, MTTD, which is an average time taken for a failure to be identified, and mean time to repair or recover. MTTR. It's basically an average time for the failure to be corrected. Keeping your MTTD and MTTR numbers low is essential for a successful SRE, especially to recover quickly from the downtime, right? So detecting and resolving incident is not simple. They are time-consuming tasks and can take hours without the right tools.
Right. And the high MTTD, it's not just a CIO's problem. It's eventually going to impact every role in the IT, cloud, and digital world. So, I mean, I guess the question to pose back to you, Nick, is what types of challenges slows MTTD down?
There are so many different challenges, and solution is not a simple solution that you can come up with. There are a lot of nuances to it, but it can roughly be classified into three major stages. And each stage comes with its own set of challenges and delays. The reality is that unless you are extremely lucky and you can identify the issue in shortest period of time and you can get the website up and running. Let me give you a story of one of our clients who recently went through a major outage. This client of ours is a Fortune 100 company that does over 12 billion in e-commerce sales. A simple backend query had the backend servers unresponsive that impacted the API servers, eventually bringing down the entire site for 6 hours. There was panic. 18 different teams were on the call with the CIO to figure out what just happened. There was a lot of confusion on ownership, and lack of ownership basically led to finger pointing and blame game. It was hours before the incident was detected and resolved. But in those hours, the company lost $10 million in revenue. Right? So let's talk about the three major stages and their substages. The first stage is detection and triage. Within that, the first subset is incomplete or incorrect monitoring. Basically, if you don't have the right monitoring tools, incidents may not be detected on time. The second one is a major one, which is false positives and alert storms, right? Your system is alerting you of the failed triggers, and cascades of these alerts from interconnected components or services may have such a high volume that it becomes overwhelming for your operations team to figure out the root cause of the incident. This is basically what happened with the Facebook outage. The third one is misclassification of the incident, where PI issues is deprioritized or get sent to the wrong team for repair. The second stage is response and resolution. At this stage, some of the biggest challenges are skill mismatch or incorrect queue assignment. The biggest challenge for operations team is to identify the correct incident owner during the crisis and then assigning it to the right person. If it's assigned to the wrong team, you have a high MTTD. We have spoken about misclassification early. So if the wrong team is assigned to the ops team, they cannot accurately identify the issue, especially during cascading alerts, and your MTTR is going to get slower. And the last one in this stage is delay in escalation. Again, the wrong team is assigned, and then it needs to be reassigned to the right team. And because of this, incident resolution gets delayed. In middle of all this, incident could get even bigger or worse, and more users get impacted. The third stage in this is unintended consequences. Now, you cannot really prepare for this, but it is an actual problem that can occur. You fix one issue, or you fix the symptoms without treating the cause, and suddenly more failures happen as a result. And then the third stage is post-resolution review. You have successfully detected the problem and resolved it. What comes next? If your SRE is robust, you can do post-resolution review of every incident so that you have a handy guide for if the incident ever reoccurs again or reoccurs. The review is very important, but it also overlooked step in the incident lifecycle. Without a robust SRE, you end up with a later complication such as regression. The fix worked once, but it may not work every time, or the fault may reoccur, especially if the incident is closed prematurely. Second, ignoring lessons learned, right? You brought in us, you formed a specialized team to address the incident. They solve the issue, but they may not be around when the issue is going to reoccur, or there was no documentation for the future work or the mistake happening again. And the third one is resistance to change. If your teams are resistant to implementing changes based on the lessons learned, prevention efforts may be ineffective.
Right. So I think this is a lot to digest, and it's important that we understand what the landscape looks like, right? So now that we know what we're dealing with, let's take a breather and sort of think about what the best solution is.
AIOps is the solution most people are looking for. I mean, with AI, Tulika, we can automate every stage of the incident lifecycle, and through monitoring, self-healing, and predictive signaling, our sites can be empowered with the ability to automatically fix issues, even predict issues when they might occur. Right? So that takes us to the most important part, which is monitoring and observability. What are they? I'll give you an example. If your website is attacked by cyber criminals, then your monitoring tool would detect anomalies in the web traffic and send you an alert about it. But with observability, you can take a step further. If you have a solution ready, it can implement this solution and then alert you instead of waiting for a human to come in and fix the problem. So when your website is attacked, in addition to alerting you, it can also take steps to protect your website and prevent any damage. You can also analyze as post-resolution why or what caused the incident and what is the likelihood of incident rising again. So observability is crucial for AIOps because observability data allows you to train AI and predict incident based on observed user behavior.
Right. So AIOps is still a relatively new practice, and it's something that's come about from the increasing use of artificial intelligence to automate tasks in IT operations. So it enhances IT functions by implementing automation to perform otherwise complex, repetitive, and time-consuming tasks. That's really what we're talking about here.
Correct. But now with AIOps, Tulika, you are taking your SRE process from being reactive to being proactive, and even taking a step further, which is predictive, right? So AIOps tools uses time series analysis, AI ML approaches to continuously identify anomalies in your user behavior and compare them to historical trends. What's more, it can also use techniques like instrumentation and database deep dive analysis to point out issues even at the code or query level.
Right. So with the Facebook outage that we had discussed earlier, the AIOps tools would have enabled the SRE team to detect the mistake as soon as the command code error was input, and it would have given them a chance to fix the issue right away. So can we talk about how to achieve AIOps?
Yeah, probably it would have helped Pentagon this morning. I don't know if you saw the news this morning about email leaks that were happening for last 2 weeks. But to answer your question, to achieve AIOps, we basically follow 3 steps: data collection and monitoring, which is we basically collect data from our observability tool. Second is data analysis and insights. We convert the collected data into actionable insight. And the third one is automation and remediation. We use these insights to automate routine tasks, fix problems, and optimize IT operations. The objective here is to improve efficiency, reduce manual effort, and enhance system reliability. So of all the three steps, the third step, which is automation and remediation, is the most important one, which is truly going to elevate the SRE process to the next level. All right. So, but when we talk about automation and self-healing, this is half of the job, right? Now, because of the AI, we have the ability to automate the rest of the process, right? This means we are not only using AI to detect incident and threats, but also fix them with minimum human intervention. This is especially necessary when dealing with complex systems that needs to scale up in short time frame. In situations like this, the need for human intervention is a handicap. But with AI and in your system, you are capable of self-healing using machine learning and understanding and implementing the right steps that will correct the issue on its own. Additionally, it can also derive data from the implementation and learn from it and take further corrective measures. The system will collect data and make mature models, which will be a key in self-healing of your operations. Right now, here is the important part, which is predictive signaling. Right, we are talking about self-healing. It gives us the power to build predictive detection and resolution of the incidents. The system will raise signals proactively when they detect either anomalies in your workload or in underlying systems behavior as a result of those workload. The same algorithm can also help you build capacity forecasting model that can chart out what-if scenarios for potential workload trends and plan scaling through projected healing to handle them. This way, if you decide to scale your operations, then you already have a solution in hand if the problem occurs and how to address them.
Right. So AIOps and self-healing also has a significant security dimension to its benefits. So if you have any kind of online presence today, you have to deal with the bad actors trying to commit some kind of cybercrime and trying to hack into your systems. And so I really want to take a moment to give you a real world example of when this can happen. One of our major clients, a global retailer who extensively depends on their e-commerce platform to reach customers, they had tasked us with providing back-end support for every hour of every day through the Thanksgiving weekend. Now that's understandable when you're in e-commerce. Because they're an online retail business, if they had fallen victim to a cyber attack at any point during the holiday period, the results for even an hour of downtime, they would have risked losing millions of dollars in revenue. So we've already talked about the brand impact and the revenue impact, but this is very serious for anyone in e-commerce. So customers not being able to browse their website, place orders, make payments, anything that could impact the user experience would have been disastrous. So they needed a team, or teams rather, which is where we came in to really support them, to be on standby the entire holiday weekend to make sure that if any issue did occur, that somebody would be on hand to address it ASAP. That was the allocation of their resources, just in case something went wrong. So think about the cost implication of that as well. So there's a couple of things that you can do. One, you can set parameters to block the bad actors from coming into the site. And two, you can obviously alert your cybersecurity experts about anything ongoing or even potential threats. The latest trend in security is to implement AIOps as a way to detect and prevent threats with only minimal need for human intervention.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, talk about attacks. The most common ones is the DDoS attacks, which stands for distributed denial of services. It's basically you have multiple devices flooding your system or network with massive amount of traffic or request. The overwhelming volume of incoming traffic exhausts your systems and make it unresponsive to legitimate requests. Where AIOps can help you is mitigating and preventing DDoS account, right? It does it by anomaly detection, where you have a smart system that understands how the network is supposed to behave, so that when it spots something unusual, it can throw an alert, right? It's also simultaneously doing traffic analysis, which is basically it's trying to figure out if there is any harmful or bad actors trying to approach your website. And the most important, again, is automated responses, right? Finally, it can start activating defenses like redirecting traffic or filtering out any harmful data or bad actors.
Right. But it's also important to note that though AIOps helps quite a bit with DDoS defense, it's best to also use other security steps like traffic filtering, balancing network load, and then seeking DDoS protection from network providers for the strongest shield against attacks. Now, cybersecurity always works much better with human oversight and expertise.
I agree with you, Tulika. These are tools and technologies that will make your team more efficient, more effective if they are used in a right manner with the right team, right? I expect in the next few months or a year that AIOps will become so well established across companies of virtually all types, right, and sizes, that it's hard to imagine a future where SRE is not just part of IT, but it's core part of IT strategy at every company. I expect it. I'm waiting for this to happen in next 6 to 8 months or 1 year.
Yeah, wonderful. Amazing. Thank you, Nick. So I wanted to open it up to the chat. I know we covered a lot and our hope was to really leave room for Q&A. We do have some pre-submitted questions that I wanted to share. In the meantime, if for those people still on the call, if you have anything that you want to share with the larger group or ask me directly, you can put it straight into the chat or use the raise your hand feature. But I'm going to dive into the first question that I received before our meeting. So Nick, the question is, what's a good starting point to implement AIOps in our organization? I
have Sandeep Panchal from my AIOps expert team. Sandeep, do you want to take the question or would you like me to answer that question?
No, I can take it up, Nick. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, it's a very good question and a very broad question too, right? It's just think about like good starting point, like how do we start? We keep on hearing about this, but I believe a good starting point to implement AIOps in your organization is, number one, just conduct a comprehensive assessment of where we stand in terms of the IT operations. That'll at least just set some baseline where we are. And we just need to do it for infrastructure, for data sources, and it'll just calculate the current operation health. So that gives the assessment. The second step is like identify some of those critical user journeys which are critical to your organization, and identify them like in your top to-do that this is the problem which we need to solve with the SRE. And once we identify the key pain points, it will really help defining the clear objectives and the goals, what exactly we want to get through this AIOps solution with SRE in the organization. Once we have the baseline established, once we have the goals defined, I think is just the step one for me, which I really like, is the invest in skilled personnel, invest in the right talent, invest in the right partners, who can provide you more suitable AIOps tools and establish a collaborative culture to integrate the AI driven insight into the overall operational effectively. Once that's done, we just need to invest a lot of time, talent, and money in the observability, because observability is key to AIOps and SRE, which will help you to collect and cascade the learnings from different tools. And we can have integrated observability environment to define the overall strategy for how we collect the data, how we analyze the data, and how we use the data to define our models, which can be utilized in AIOps. And when it comes to like, where do we start? Identify some quick wins, define some user journeys which are low-hanging fruits in the organization, and just go with it. It's just a step-by-step process, and it's never done. It's a journey. We just need to live through this journey.
Right.
And what I would like to do is share a charter that we have always put it together for our other clients. It just simplifies the whole process and gives you a snapshot. So let me know, Tulika, if you are able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
This is something that we have put together. It's a one-page cheat sheet, so to speak, but it gives you a pretty good glimpse of how to define, measure, learn communication. It's a good snapshot of what to do in terms of going from monitoring observability to AIOps.
Amazing. And I think we can probably share this with the group as well if they need it, because that does a really good job of breaking it down into each of the categories. Fantastic. So one of the other questions that came through previously was, how can we use AIOps in incident management? Nick or Sandeep, do you want to take that one?
Or Sandeep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, because that's the core of the problem, right? Like how we manage the incident in an organization is the key to manage the operations. So what AIOps can do, in theory, it can just greatly enhance incident management by automation. And when I talk about automation, the key thing which comes to my mind is this event correlation, right? So if you think about like what happens if we have a flood of incident, right? We'll have operators working and filtering those incidents, figure out like which is relevant and which is not. And that becomes a major problem. And in that time, we lose this sight of incidents which are really causing the problem. So correlating all those events is one of the key thing which we can achieve with AIOps. And there are a few things, like as Nick said earlier, like anomaly detection. That's one of the key things. Like okay, this is my trend. Why is changing? And overall, this AIOps with SRE or AIOps will enable SREs the faster identification of the issues, reduce a lot of manual efforts. It will improve the overall response time. And Nick, as you pointed out, like we can really reduce the mean time to detect. And if the mean time to detect is resolved, we know and identify the problem quickly, we can reduce the mean time to resolve as well. And
that's the key. The mean time to detect, MTTD, is so critical, and especially larger the organization and you have several teams working. In my client's example that I talked about earlier, the 6 hours outage, it was trying to figure out the team that's responsible for the incident, which took them almost 3.5, 4 hours. And then the resolution part was relatively not easy, but easy, lack of better word, to resolve it and get the website up and running.
Yeah. No, that's
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. That's a very good context.
I think you did. I'm just scrolling through some of these questions. So the last one that I'd like to bring up from the pre-submitted ones is how are SRE and AIOps linked? And I know we covered that a little bit, but if we can go into that a little bit more, just for clarity, that would be great.
I see SRE and AIOps or AIOps as an extension of SRE. It's basically giving your SRE team, I don't want to say superhuman capabilities, but gives you that extra ability to be more proactive, right? SRE teams usually are reactive. When a problem happens, they are the first one to jump in. They are the first responders, lack of a better word, to respond to an incident and trying to solve it. With AI ops, you are being proactive. And like I said, you are being more predictive in what the issues may be, looking at your user data or historical data or current user behavior. You can predict, or the tools will help you predict an incident, an outage, bad actors. It depends on how well or robust your SRE team is in using AIOps tools. Sandeep, anything you want to add?
No, that's absolutely right on the spot. So I'd just like to add, like, in a very simple term, like how SRE and AIOps link is, as you said, Nick, it's enabling the SREs, the site reliability engineering, giving them the AIOps as a tool, and AIOps can utilize the artificial intelligence from machine learning to analyze the vast amount of data, right? That's not humanly possible to just analyze the data manually. So we just definitely need to implement and enable our SREs with AIOps so that they can automate everything. Like, take an example of event correlation. So I think the key is both AIOps and site reliability engineering, they are linked through their shared goal of improving the system reliability and improving the overall performance of the operations, and include operational excellence in the overall process.
I agree. Well said.
Perfect. All right. So if there are no other questions, I want to thank our audience for joining us. I will make sure to follow up and share this presentation if you need it. But thank you again for joining us for this very interesting conversation. I appreciate your participation. And Nick, Sandeep, anything else? Parting thoughts?
No, I mean, build a robust, effective SREs that will give you the excellence in operations that you or your company may be looking for. So, having that right team with the right tools will be the game changer.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Bye.